So we have here Mr. Matjaž Grkman from Ministry of Agriculture, Republic of Slovenia. Please.
Yeah, good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all on the behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture. And in this point, I would like to thank Majda Robic that she was able to organize this global event for the 5th time here in Slovenia. I will give you a short presentation about the production of hemp in Slovenia and what we can expect from the further developments. Well, growing of hemp in Slovenia started again after 40 years, actually, in 2004 when we entered the European Union, when it was possible to start growing hemp again. At the beginning, there were just, let's say, 5 producers on 10 hectares, and but all of the fiber has been exported to Austria and processed there. And in the first years, let's say up till 2010, there was no actual production. It was about 15 hectares and 6 growers. The bigger production on a bigger scale, but this is still a very small and it's a niche product in our agriculture, started in 2010 when the producers started to grow hemp for seeds as well. And at that time, there was the first trials on producing hemp oil. But in the last 3 years, we see further development. So in the last year, we had 565 growers, and hemp was grown on 420 hectares. In this year, we have a slight reduction, so it's only 450 growers, and hemp is grown on 360 hectares. In Slovenia, let's say up until 2015, production of food products from hemp was not allowed, but in fact it was not allowed, but it was not prosecuted, let's say it this way. It was some kind of a gray area, but in 2015 on the Ministry of Agriculture we have succeeded to persuade the Ministry of Health, and so in 2015 the rules were changed, and hemp can be legally used in food products as long as the content of THC is less than 0.2%. In the last year, there was some further development under the organization of the Agriculture Chamber, where the association, the overall association for Slovenia was organized, and there are some, and also at there are some groups have been formed, working parties for the selection of varieties, for the cultivation of hemp, and for the processing of hemp. And in 2014, there were some starts of production in our textile factory in Pozola, where they produce socks, and now they are producing socks, hemp socks, but at the moment the socks are actually produced from imported fiber, because the fiber in Slovenia it's not available yet. But there are some technical arrangements are prepared that the hemp produced in Slovenia could be actually processed in Slovenia, and that fiber could be produced from Slovenian hemp, so that the whole socks could be produced from the fiber from the material grown in Slovenia. Well, actually, nothing further, because this is a very small area is grown, so it's just a niche product. And at the moment, if there are some questions, I'm willing to answer. But as far as the presentation, I'm finished.
Okay. Please, microphone, please.
Hello, my name is Hanna Gabrielova. I'm from Czech Republic. I'm growing their hemp as well. And I'm interested because you mentioned that in Slovenia it's like 500 growers, which operates around like 500 hectares only. So it's like quite different average what we have in Czech Republic, because we have kind of like similar average of like hectares, but maybe just, I don't know, 20 growers, not more. Yes, so how is organized like hemp growing in Slovenia? It's mostly like handmade harvested, or do you have a machine, or how is like the distribution of these small amounts from the small fields? I cannot imagine. Or how is it controlled also, because you as a Minister of Agriculture or somebody have to control the level of the CBD, and if there is so many people involved. I'm just curious to hear it. And my second question is about the CBD content and THC content, because you mentioned that like you have a like for food, you have a like 0.2 limit, which means like you can like sell products which are like under 0.2 as a food.
Yeah.
Okay. Fix in the legislation, or it's just tolerance? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Well, the 0.2% in food is actually not yet fixed in legislation, but it's, let's just say, used in practice. So if because the legal limit for the growing of hemp is 0.2%, so the same goes for the food. As far as the acreage is concerned and the size of the plots, this is what we are dealing here in Slovenia, because if you compare the size of agriculture farms in Czech Republic or in Slovenia is 6 hectares. In Czech Republic, I believe it's over 200 hectares. So, yeah, well, the problem is because this is scattered around the country, this production of hemp. So it's actually, let's say, processed by each farmer by himself in most cases. There are just a few producers, they produce more than, let's say, 2 hectares. But if we want, let's say, a further development, we should, first of all, we should develop a kind of a processing plant and some kind of farmers association that the farmers can come together and grow hemp for the purpose of that plant. Well, another problem is actually, yes, which, like you said, the harvest. Actually, harvesting for fiber, it's not that problematic because, okay, it's not that easy, but it can be done. But for harvesting for seeds, there is a problem because that hemp is not maturing evenly, so it's a lot of losses on the field. So actually, the bigger producers, let's say that they own their own harvesters for wheat, they are quite successful because they have machine available at the right time and at the right place, and they can actually make a certain arrangements to harvest hemp as well. But on the other hand, harvesting across the country, it's difficult. So there are not really any specialized machines yet available because it's the amount is just too small, and it's not possible, to go from one field to another to buy a machine. So this is what we are still working on. But I must say that this is on the side of the farmers. You know, they should organize and put some parcels together and buy a machine. I mean, they exist, but they are not really, they're quite expensive.
Here is a lot of social groups. We arrange them together and think about it, one machine and many producers. But in Slovenia is a really big problem for small parcels and small producers. This is typical for Slovenia. But I hope we will solve this. I have one question about Slovenian hemp. How is with this shortage? Slovenska sorta. We have Slovenian some assortment of hemp, and we wish to make it legal. This assortment of Slovenian hemp. Is this something new here?
Well, actually, they're not big news yet, but there are some 4 cultivars available, and at the moment they are on the trial at our Agricultural Institute, and at the end, in the autumn, we are expecting the results of the trial. But what I've heard from some partial samplings, that there are 2 varieties that their THC content is over 0.2, and it's around 0.5, and this might cause us a problem.
Some another question from audience? Tomasz, please, microphone.
Hi. Just one question about percentage in industrial hemp. Where's the difference between industrial use of hemp and drug use? Because in industrial use, we can use hemp from 1%. So if you use higher percentage of industrial use for fiber, we can use samples from the European hemp database, and the percentage of THC in the plant can be higher till 1%. So the difference between drugs and plant from industrial use is 1%. So if the hemp is 0.5% THC, there can be no problem, but can be problem in the European Union for the export and import. My question is, why can we higher the limit of THC?
Thank you, Tomasz.
Well, if you ask me, frankly speaking, I don't know. This is the limit that has been arranged, and this is it for the moment. Like you heard before from the presentation from this guy from Australia, it's not even possible to use hemp for food. So the limit is 0.2% in Europe, 0.3% in Canada. And this is the limit, let's say administrative limit, between the industrial hemp and marijuana or cannabis, if you want. Yeah, well, this is administrative, political, health reason, you name it, but this is what we have accepted, this is what I have accepted, and there is still let's say, a long way to go to legalize to make arrangements for medical cannabis, or to, I don't know, maybe legalize it in Slovenia. But this is the matter that should be dealt with the Ministry of Health. What we have done in the Ministry of Agriculture, this is what we have been able to succeed up till now. So, but yeah, like you said, this is an administrative limit. But on the other hand, I mean, I know from further discussions with you and me that, okay, you might say this is the industrial hemp, it has 4% of THC, but it will be used for production of fiber. So if I don't know. I will be very frank now. If you are able to persuade our Ministry of Internal Affairs and Ministry of Health that this is possible to be grown on the field without any protection, then be my guest. But on the other hand, yeah, this is the discussion we have for the last 2 years, that it's not, there should be an intent to grow hemp, to grow marijuana, to use it like a drug, or it should be illegal to use it if you want to produce rope or fiber. But on the other hand, this hemp will be in the field. I can tell you that in the first years, 2004, 2005, farmers had problems because there was nothing left in the field, because the kids were coming there and taking that, but the level of THC was just not big enough. So if we are talking about increasing of THC content to be treated like an industrial hemp, let's say that if we increase that to 1%, I see no problem with that. But this is not my decision to make.
Changes in process. Yes. Some another question? Hanka, please. Microphone.
In Czech Republic, we started a discussion like 3 years ago, or 5 years ago actually, about medical cannabis. And I think this is the right way, like how to really like force the legal way of using something with high THC. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is not like your issue, you are agriculture ministry, but maybe some like patient group have to like start to open the discussion with Minister of Health and like push that issue on their like back and like do it that way. Yeah, because like I think like because everything regarding high THC belongs to Minister of Health. I think in nothing with you. I think it's same like in Czech Republic here. So if somebody here interested in something with high THC, I really recommend to start organize, because we already passed the medical cannabis legislation, and we have like now medical cannabis in pharmacies, own production in Czech Republic, which is half price of the medical cannabis or of like marijuana on the black market. So I think there is a way how you can like really like make it done if you want. But it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hours of like lobbying and discussions. But it could be like, it could happen, but just you have to get in touch with the right person who are responsible for that change. So, and I think he's not the right person to talk about, like maybe like some subsidies from national government for hemp you can try, but
question? Some question?
Yeah. So the question was if you know, because you are ministry. So my question was about if you know that there are already some interest from Minister of Health, or if you already like if something happened on the government level regarding the medical cannabis. If you know something so far, like I'm just curious to know that.
Thank you.
Maybe nothing.
Well, at the moment, on the behalf of the Ministry of Health, I don't really believe that nothing much is going on. There were some suggestions from the NGOs in the past about the use of medical cannabis, or even legalization, let's say regulation of use of marijuana, but it was not successful. And at the moment, some political parties are having some suggestions on the table. But Ministry of Health, they are not really working on medical cannabis at the moment. The only thing is that they have allowed the use of THC, but this is the synthetic substance.
Thank you. Last question.
This will not be a question, but an explanation. I did not talk about medical marijuana or medical cannabis. I'd speak about hemp, about which is distinguished between industrial use, fiber use in agriculture, on the European level, and medical use. So I didn't talk about medical use, about drugs, about nothing about that, just about industrial use. Where is the limit for the industrial use of hemp in THC? So the limit is 1%. 1%, we don't talk about medical use. We talk about fibers. For explanation.
Thank you. So, comment?
I don't know. All I can say is the official limit between hemp and marijuana is 0.2%. That's it. This is the official limit in Europe. I'm not aware of any other kind of limit for that. This is 0.2%. You can call it administrative, health reasons, political reasons, but this is the law at the moment.
So thank you very much, Mr. Grkman, and thank you for your ministry, for your support of hemp production. So